Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानं यशोदाभियो लोकलाघवमानं परां दृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृत्य गोप्या हृदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रं युग्मं मृजन्तं कराम्भोजयुग्मेन शातकनेत्रं मोहश्वासकाम्बत्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठा स्थितग्रैव दामोदरां भक्तिबद्धम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् अख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषिताग्नेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तां शतावृत्तिवन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चन्यं व्रणेऽहं वरिषदपीह इदं देव पूर्णाथ गोपालबाला सदा मे मनस्य वीरस्तां किमन्ये इदं ते मुखाम्भोजमत्यान्तनीलै वृत्तं कुण्डले स्निग्धरक्ताश्च गोप्या मोहश्चुम्बितां बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्य विरास्तं मलं लक्षलाभै नमो देव दामोदरानन्तविष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाभिमग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यादिदीनां पतानो गृह्णानेश मामग्नामेधाक्षि दृश्या कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धामूर्त्यैव यद्वत् त्वया मोचितो भक्तिभजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे स्थिदामोदरेह नमस्तेऽस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायाथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियायै
Hare Krishna. 628. Hari Bol. So we already played the song, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, we did. Yes, Prabhuji, yeah, we did.
We did already play the Damodar Stakam?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we were reading about the Namaprad. So we were talking about fifth offense, and we will just read to bring up to the fifth offense. Gurudev, your words are cascades of ambrosia. Kindly proceed to the fifth offense, Raghunath Das Babaji. To think that the qualities of a Harinam described in the scriptures are either imaginary or exaggerated is a serious namaprad. This mundane line of thinking is condemned in the scripture. As for example, in the Jaimini Samhita, Shruti Smruti Puranesu Nama Mahatmya Vachisu Ye Arthavad Iti Bruyur Na Tesam Niraya Krayaha. Person who disrespect the Shrutis, Smrutis and Puranas, which wonderfully glorify Harinam with the speculative assertions that the glorification of Harinam within such scriptures is mere exaggerations, are hurled down to the hellish planet known as Akshaya, the inexhaustible hell. The Supreme Lord instructs, so this is where we were, so we will continue. The Supreme Lord instructs Sri Brahma in Sri Brahma Samhita saying, Yannam kirtanam phalam vidivam nisyamya na shraddhadati manyute yad utarthavadam yo manusyastam iha dukha chaye kshipami samsara ghora vividdhati nipititangam. That person who even after hearing about the wonderful result of chanting Harinam refuses to develop sincere Shraddha in Harinam, and on the contrary, expostulates that such elucidations of the potency of Harinam are inflected panegyrics is hurled by me into the deep gloom of material nuisance after being dragged through excruciating suffering. The scriptures have unanimously declared that the Harinam is invested with the full potency of the Lord. Harinam is absolutely transcendental and possesses the power to dissolve the illusion of the entire material creation at will. According to the Vishnu Dharma Purana, Krishneti Mangalam Nama Yasya Vachi Pravartate Bhasmi Bhavanti Rajendra Mahapataka Kotayaha. O mighty monarchs, those who utter Krishna and other munificent names of the Supreme Lord destroy the millions of reprehensible sins they may have committed. The Bruhan Naradiya Purana states, Nanyat Pasyami Jantunam Vihaya Hari Kirtanam Sharva Pap Prashammanam Prayaschitam Dvijottama. The best of the Brahmanas, chanting Harinam is the atonement that destroys all sins, and I consider one who give up chanting Harinam to be no more than an animal. Haribol. What a hard statement, huh? The Bruhat Vishnu Purana states, Namno hi yavati sakti papa nirharane hare tavat kartum na shaknoti pataka patika naraha. Harinam possesses such incredible powers of purifying any sin that even the most sinful person is unable to commit so many sins that Harinam cannot absolve. These scriptural quotes gives only a partial impression of the uniqueness of Sri Harinam. Karmiks and Gyanis, greedy for Pisunajari, no, Pisuniyari, P-E-C-U-N-I-A-R-Y. I have never heard that word before. If somebody can help us the meaning, P-E-C-U-N-I-A-R-Y. Profits by protecting the prestige of their own misguided endeavors, deceive people by saying that these scriptural statements are fictitious and pompous. They say that such praises are heaped upon Harinam in order to motivate people to chant, and that in reality, these praises are nothing more than exaggerated falsities. How can such ignorant offender ever cultivate taste in chanting Harinam? I have to write that word because I want to write a sentence and also this word. P-C-U-N-I-E-R-Y. Okay. Therefore, one's chanting of Harinam must be strengthened by Shraddha in the scriptural injunctions and glorification. What happened to the music? Therefore, one's chanting of Harinam must be strengthened by Shraddha in the scriptural injunctions and glorification simultaneously. Association with offenders to Harinam must be strictly avoided. Sri Mahaprabhu has given the advice that a devotee who has even just accidentally met such an offender to Harinam has to cleanse himself by bathing immediately in the holy river while still in his clothes. Vijaya. Gurudev, it appears that a grahastha has to struggle to chant Harinam purely. Wonderful question, right? He is mostly surrounded by non-devotees and offenders. And furthermore, as Brahmana Panditas, to find saintly association is difficult for us in particular. O merciful Master, if you bless us, we can find the strength to denounce bad atheistic association. The more we hear from you, the greater is our desire to hear more. Now kindly explain the sixth offense. Raghunath Das Babaji. The sixth Nama Aparad is to consider Krishna Nam as an imaginary and fictitious proposition. The Mayavadi speculators and gross materialistics conclude that Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, is impersonal, formless, and nameless. They speculate that names such as Ram, Krishna, and so on are fabricated by the sages and given to Brahman only to accomplish a specific purpose. When such purpose has been achieved, the names are no longer necessary. This is the opinion of the Harinam given by these demoniac offenders. Krishna Nam is eternal and transcendental and descend from the supramundane plane to appear through the spiritualized senses of a faithful chanter purified by Hari Bhakti sadhana. Aspiring sadhakas must receive proper instructions from the Shastras and their Nam Gurus about the absolute divinity of Harinam and then chant sincerely. Otherwise, they will be disqualified from receiving Namakripa, mercy from Sri Krishna Nam. Vijay, Srila Babaji, before we found the safe sanctuary of your lotus feet, we were contaminated by the bad association of materialistics and screwed, sophisticated, rhetoricians. By your kind blessings, all that is past history. What is the seventh Namaprad? Raghunath Das Babaji. Just give me a minute. I was a little yes. Raghunath Das Babaji. Another terrible Namaprad is to commit sinful act, relying on the purifying power of the chanting Harinam to absolve one of the future negative karmic reactions. Such a motivated offense cannot be absolved by the yogic process of yama, niyama, etc., nor by prayaschitta, atonement, and so on. This offense and the sins committed in connection to this offense can be purified by the mercy of Harinam alone, because they all fall within the sphere of Namaprad. Vijay, Gurudev, if every kind of sin is destroyed by Harinam, how is it possible that those who chant Harinam commit offense against him? Raghunath Das Babaji, my son, the moment the Jiva achieves the shelter of the Sudhanam, one utterance of Krishna is enough to extirpate all sins, both prarabdha and aparabdha. Thereafter, by the chanting of the Sudhanam, the Jiva reaps prema. Immersed in prem, one who chants Sudhanam has no affinity for pap and is repelled at the very thought of performing even punya. In addition, he is not in the least attracted even to mukti. Where then is the question of his committing sins? However, as far as the chanting of the sadhaka is concerned, it is still on the level of namabhas, because aparadha still lingers faintly within his consciousness. However, even namabhas chanting gradually eradicates all prarabdha and aprarabdha sinful reactions and elicits disgust at committing further sins. If by chance some sin is accidentally committed, the namabhas chanting also destroys that. However, if the devotee tries to exploit this sin eradicating potential of Harinam by carrying out further sinful activities premeditatedly or out of sheer nonchalance, thinking that the chanting will certainly vindicate him from his sins, then his sins escalate into serious namaprad. Vijay, dear Gurudev, now kindly explain the eighth offense and thus increase our happiness. Raghunath Das Babaji. To understand the eighth Namaprad, one must discriminate between pious activity and devotional service. Satkarma comprise the Naimitika Dharma of Varnashram, giving in charity, observing religious vows, performing philanthropic works, renouncing everything, including the fruits of one labor, conducting religious sacrifices, practicing Ashtanga Yoga, and so on. In addition, all other materially pious deeds are prescribed in the Shastras are within the purview of mundane dharma, known as Jaiva Dharma. They are not spiritual. In contrast, chanting Sri Krishna Nam is supramundane, purely spiritual activity. Satkarma activity are only an upai, a means to an end. Satkarma activities hold up the illusory promise of material bliss as the ultimate goal, but are only a means and not the final goal. Chanting Harinam is different. At the beginning stage of sadhana bhakti, chanting Harinam is indeed the dynamic sadhana. However, at the culmination of one's spiritual endeavor, the chanting is transformed from the sadhana into the very sadhya, sought by the earlier practice. Therefore, chanting Harinam must not be compared to any material activity, pious, religious, or otherwise. Those who do not accept this view are offender against the Harinam. Those who believe that chanting Harinam achieves the same transient, mediocre result as Satkarma commit aparadh against Harinam by equating altruistic performance with the chanting of Harinam. You must clearly understand the distinction between material and spiritual activity and their respective results. Abhidheya Jnana directs that chanting Harinam is transcendental and that the path of mundane Satkarma cannot help one reach the absolute transcendental goal. Yesterday, I don't know, I was reading or hearing the class or something, but it was a wonderful point was given that if you read even the Bhagavad Gita, it says when Krishna talk about the karma, jnana, he just say that this is the best. When he speak about the dhyana yoga, he also says and stress that this is the best. But when he come to the bhakti, this is the most. So the point was made that because Krishna is our father, he wants to have somehow or other connected all the living being to him through the karma yoga or jnana yoga, whatever it may be. So that's the reason he emphasized. So if somebody is at that level of not accepting the bhakti mark, at least Krishna wants to engage them in karma kand activity. Then slowly and slowly they can move. So that was a wonderful point was made, that when Krishna speak even the inferior processes, when he speak about those, he said this is the best, just to satisfy the person who is at that level, to feel comfortable. Haribol. Vijay, Gurudev, I feel very elated. I'm convinced that nothing is superior to Harinam. Kindly explain to us the ninth aparadh and quench our thirst for knowledge. Raghunath Das Babaji. Of all the instructions given in the entire Vedic scriptures, the directions to chant Harinam is the foremost. Only those persons who have cultivated from Shraddha in Suddha Bhakti are eligible candidate for hearing the unlimited glories of Harinam. Faithless persons are generally averse to spiritual activities and to hearing the glories of Harinam. Therefore, to instruct such irreligious, faithless people about the esoteric details of Harinam is an offense. Certainly, it is necessary to explain to the general populations that chanting Harinam is the most beneficial spiritual practice, and that those who practice will achieve complete benedictions. Yet, the confidential knowledge of Harinam and the esoteric science of chanting should be disclosed only to the worthy and faithful. When one becomes a realized Uttama Adhikari Bhakta, one will acquire the Shakti to empower others to take up devotional service. An Uttama Adhikari can instill Shraddha in Harinam in the conditions Jiva and then instruct them in the chanting of Harinam by bestowing his Bhakti Shakti. However, as long as one remains a Madhyama Adhikari Bhakta, one must carefully avoid companionship with the faithless, the gross materialistic, the disinterested, and the atheist. Vijay, Gurudev, there are many persons who initiate unfit persons into the Harinam for material gain and personal fame. How should we see them? Raghunath Das Babaji. They are Namaparadhis, offenders against the Harinam. Vijay. Finally, there is the 10th Namaparad. Kindly explain it to us more fully. Raghunath Das Babaji. Certain types of men are generally inebriated by their false ego, imagining themselves to be the monarchs of everything they survey. And thus, they treat their imagined subordinate as their serf with the gross mentality of me and mine. On rare occasions, they are gripped with the desire for renunciation and a curiosity for the spiritual unknown. They approach the learned Suddha Bhakta and hear about the glories of Harinam, but they do not receive this knowledge with proper Shraddha and devotion, and eventually turn back to their material attachments. They are Namaparadhis. The second verse from the Sisistastikari commands, Nama Nam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarva Saktis Tatrapita Niyamitta Smaranena Kale Ethadrishi Tau Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Idrasham Ihajani Nanu Raga. My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your transcendental names, there is all good fortune for the living entity. And therefore you have many names such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your Shaktis in these names, and there are no hard and fast rules for chanting these names. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen conditioned soul by liberally distributing your transcendental names, I'm so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting your name, and therefore I cannot develop attachment for chanting. So we should stop here with those wonderful instructions from the self realized soul. We should remain fixed in our devotion and our practice. And with those thoughts, we should always remain happy, jubilant, and totally fearless. And whoever you come across, give them a kind word that their life can also become successful. With those thoughts, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the dusk of these wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who take so much of their time and austerity to join. It's not easy. And particularly in the winter time when the cold sets in, we want to have a cozy little more time in the bed, right? But they take that austerity. That is very wonderful and appreciated deeply. I was just thinking, that when Krishna give us the cold weather, we wants to keep the house warm. And when Krishna give you warm weather in the house, you want to keep it cool. What a contradictions. So normally I don't turn on that much heat until we really feel uh, really cold. Then I will wear even the something. And we have very nice thick comforter that we use, so we don't have to turn on the heat, because the heat is not really good. Krishna has made those seasons just to learn some austerity in our life. But we just go opposite, right? This is how it is. He give free, we don't accept. That's amazing, no? When he give the cold, we don't accept. Then we need heat. When he give heat, we don't need it. We need the cold. What a paradigm we are living in that. But anyway, I have to attend some phone call.